Have you seen the guys with the manly hair on the face this season on the Amazing Race? Two best friends, Joel and Garrett, chasing down the $1 million carrot. Where will you go? How far will you go? If you want to know, watch the next episode. Two pals palling around, span the globe, representing their home in Idaho. Facial hair gods, two dad bods, met in the army, served in the same squad. Every girl's hall pass will be Joel and Garrett from now on.
Okay.
I realize I laugh too much.
Well, maybe you should tone it down.
I'll do my best.
Giggles.
Can you call me Giggles McGee?
Maybe you should tone it down, Giggles McGee. Welcome to our review of the 4th episode of The Amazing Race.
Yeah. I almost thought it was the 3rd one.
Are we already like a third of the way through the season? I think if my math serves me right, that's about a third of the way through.
I like how you do your math.
Yeah. So we got stuff to talk about from this one. There is some conversation to have, so let's jump right in. We'll start with, we started in 2nd place. We got to the cafe in 2nd place, got our clue.
We're feeling good.
And I had forgotten that it was during that run from the cafe to the mattress truck where I talked about the, where I was thinking about my uncle that had served in Vietnam there. Well, my uncle didn't just serve in Vietnam. He's also my beard mentor. He's the only relative I have who has a beard similar to this. His is whiter. It's probably whiter and whiter.
Yeah.
But anyways,
emphasize the T.
His beard is whiter, grayer than mine is, but mine's well on its way. I'll catch up. But anyway, okay, so we get to the mattress truck, and we were okay. We didn't get lost. We asked someone for directions.
So before you get to that, he had to boost me up onto the mattress truck.
Oh, that's right.
And I know we failed, guys. Give us a break, right?
We were tired.
He didn't realize how much I weigh. And
it made that little twing noise when I tried to lift you onto the truck.
But so the problem was that the lift gate thing that was out, that was like on fire. Like the sun had been beating down on that metal, and when we touched it, it burned us.
It burnt.
And so that's why he boosted me up on it, because we could not put our skin on. I couldn't just climb up on it. We couldn't put our skin on it because it was so hot.
Yeah, so cut us some slack, people.
Come on.
But we asked directions. Some girl gave us directions, and she seemed very confident, which one thing we should have figured out by now is that people sound confident about directions all the time, but that doesn't mean they are.
Well, we realized that people like to be helpful.
Yeah.
Like, everyone there wanted to be so helpful to these Americans.
And lying to us with a false sense of confidence is not helpful.
Yeah, go that way.
But she was like, it's right down that street. So we had 2 mattresses on. We went about a quarter of a mile down that street before we're like, dude, there's no hotel here, and we're getting pooped. So we asked directions again, and we found that nice guy who spoke pretty good English, and he was like, it's the other way. So then we go a quarter mile back. Now we've carried these 2 mattresses about a half mile. We're back to the truck where we started with. We dump one of them off because we're so pooped now. And then we make our way down the correct street.
Strasser actually had a good idea before we even loaded up the 2 mattresses, and I wish we would have done it. Because at first Strasser said, why don't we just go and see if we can find the hotel first, and then get the mattresses and carry them. I mean, I don't know if it would have saved us time or if it would have hurt us by not taking anything. Being that we went the wrong direction,
the thing that would have saved us time would have been if that girl gave us the right directions and we took the 2 mattresses at the beginning to the right hotel. But that's neither here nor there. Now, somebody asked, when you get to the hotel, are you allowed to like ditch one of the mattresses in the lobby and bring one up and then get the other one? And the rule specifically said, no, you may not ditch a mattress anywhere. So if you're going to carry 2, you must bring 2 up the stairs. When the teams were carrying those mattresses through the halls, there was so much sweat on the floor. There were puddles, literal puddles of sweat all over the floor. And there's a woman with a mop. You catch a quick glimpse of her in the episode. But her full-time job was mopping up the sweat after the teams, because otherwise you'd slip in it and die.
You could tell by how our clothes looked and our faces. I mean, our shorts were even covered in sweat.
Yeah,
and so,
don't look too close at our shorts.
Yeah, well, people are, because they told me.
It's pretty gross. But we got to talk about the strategy. So we've got back to the truck. We're bringing the mattresses back and forth, and 2 other teams show up. And I made the quick decision to tell them to let me get in front of them and get a mattress, and then they could follow us to the hotel. There's been much discussion about that decision. Well, let me set the record straight. They were going to follow us no matter what. And I knew it. As soon as I saw them I'm like, well, we just wasted forever finding the hotel. Now all they have to do is follow us.
So there is a chance they would follow us, yes. But there's also a chance that they wouldn't. They might think that we have different hotels assigned to us.
I didn't think of that.
But my thought was, so as soon as we got there, Strasser just went forward with this information. Hey, let us get our mattress, and we'll show you the way. Mm-hmm. I immediately thought, no, don't say that. We didn't have a chance to discuss it because we came around the corner and there's the teams, and and because my thought was, now don't be mad at me.
Well, how could they be? You didn't follow through with this.
My immediate thought was, when they say, oh, we're going to the West Hotel, then we say, oh, ours is the East Hotel. Ours is this way. I don't know where yours is.
Yours must be the way.
And then they say, oh, well, ours must be this way if the East one's that way.
But there's some inherent risks in that.
There's big risks with that.
We would make enemies out of Todd and Ashley and Corey and Rob if we did that.
You're immediately burning bridges, and when it comes down to it, hindsight is 20/20. Is that what people tell me?
They do. All the time.
When it comes down to it, the bigger lead that would have gotten us would not have done anything for us. It wouldn't have benefited us by the end of the leg. Looking back on it, I'm super glad that Strasser spoke up before we could talk about it or before I could say anything, because we definitely would have burned bridges with those guys, and then 100% they would have gone to all the other teams and said, those guys are a bunch of jackwagons that are sending us in the wrong direction.
Ourselves.
And then all of a sudden, we're just all on our own.
Some people also noticed that for much of the mattress challenge, we weren't wearing our backpacks. We did have them on at first, and I think we only delivered 1 mattress with our backpacks on, maybe. I can't remember if it was 1 or 2. But we decided to ditch our backpacks.
Strasser mentioned ditching the backpacks from the very beginning. He said we should just set them aside. I was always concerned about that because in the rules it states that if there is not a designated backpack hold area that production sets up, then they will not keep an eye on our backpacks. So if we set them down and somebody comes by and picks it up and walks off with it, it's gone. You're done for the rest of this.
Yeah. And we decided to take that risk. We found there's a stairwell right by where the truck was, and we found a little nook, and we ditched our backpacks there. They seemed safe there, and they were safe because no one ever saw them. We ended up getting our backpacks back just fine afterwards. But yeah, it was kind of a risk, and I think it was worth it.
It was well worth it, yes.
Yeah. There's something else I have to talk about, the mattresses. Because there's something that didn't make it into the show that needs to be in the show, but it wasn't. So you're going to have to use your imagination, dear viewer. Every time we dropped off a mattress, the 300 yards from the hotel back to the truck, we were at a dead sprint. And you know that feeling when you've been carrying something super heavy and then you feel so light, you feel like you can fly? We were running so fast through that alley, zigging and zagging. I felt like Superman flying down that alley back to the truck.
We're having to dodge people, dodge scooters.
It's just flopping every way. But and we didn't even I didn't even feel tired. I felt so relieved that I wasn't carrying a mattress that I was just zooming back to the truck.
I definitely felt tired, and I will point out that my dead sprint is not Corey's dead sprint. So if you're imagining a dead sprint from me, imagine it a little slower than what you're imagining.
Okay, fair enough. So we go to the Good Luck Pagoda. We were so hot, so tired. As we're about to walk into the pagoda, there were bottles of water. Smythe grabs a bottle of water, and what did you do with it?
I just had to cool down, and so I drank some, and then I poured some over my head.
And
I just had to cool down.
As soon as he pours the water over his head, our sound guy's like, ah! And he takes off his headset, and he's like, what did you do?
Whoops!
Apparently, all that water that Smythe poured on his head went to the mic.
It went right into the mic, and so ruined my mic, so...
It took us about 5 minutes to get our sound back up and running again.
That's not a good thing to do, because you're just at a shutdown at that point, because you can't move forward until your mic's up and running again, and so I kind of just put a pause on us.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. But we got a new mic. We go inside. Now, there's something cool
But what did he say?
Oh, he said, tell me next time before you're going to dump a gallon of water on your head.
And then I right away said, well, in my defense, it was not a gallon.
It was half a gallon. So, all right. So we go in there. One thing you didn't see on the show is you didn't I don't think it did a good job of talking about those spirals that we put our wishes inside. Those spirals that they hung our wishes in were actually incense, like a big piece of incense shaped like a spiral. They gave us a candle, we lit the end of it, our wish went inside it, and then they hung them on the ceiling, and there were hundreds of them on the ceiling just slowly burning. And the ceiling had these louvers that were open with just the incense smoke pouring out. It was really cool.
It was awesome, yeah.
So you just imagine, like, it slowly burned around your wish, and then the smoke is taking your wish up to the heavens or something. So it was actually really cool. And the reason we wished about our families is because that particular leg was raced on Father's Day. And we were thinking about our family a lot. We'd already been away from them with zero contact for almost 2 weeks at this point. So you add the time, the no contact, and all the stress, and we missed our family a lot. And so that's why we made our wish about our family. And then it cuts away and it shows us opening our letters. Did you bring your letters?
I did, yeah.
We had our letters in our packs. What does it say on that letter? Can you get it close enough?
Yeah.
I think it's washed out by the light.
Is it? Okay, well, it says Happy Father's Day on it. And then on the back it says Open on Father's Day. And then, P.S. Sorry that we added some extra weight to your backpack.
Yeah.
We had no idea that they had done this. We had our bags all packed up, ready to go. At some point, our families snuck these things into our bags. And there were some comments out there about, are they even allowed to bring that on the race? And weren't their bags inspected?
Did they check our bags? Yes.
Yes, they
checked
did.
our bags thoroughly. And
Yes.
that's how I even knew we had the Father's Day cards.
Yeah, she pulled this out of my bag and she said, "Did you know this was in there?" And I was like, no. It was kind of nice how this episode worked out because it landed on Father's Day and it happened to be the episode where we were able to make a wish. Mm-hmm. And our families were on our minds, and so that was our wish. And
the only reason...
I think our wish might have been the only wish that came true out of everybody.
That's true. How about that? We have Vietnam luck. Or do we? Because we have the roadblock coming up. So.
Here's the one thing I do need to say, though, is my daughter was hoping that this picture would end up on TV, if you can see that. They did not show the picture. They just showed us reading a little bit of one of the letters, but that's kind of hard to see. But it's a picture of her on my shoulders when we went to Disneyland years ago, and she fell asleep on my head as we were walking, and it's a super cute picture, and it's a great memory, and I definitely teared up. And we'll stop talking about it now.
Oh, and then everybody talked about me wiping my tears with my beard. It was the closest thing. I didn't have any tissues, okay? And I'm not used to crying. Look, I don't cry very often, and especially I have tears on my face, and I had a bunch. I was so emotional, and I'm not sure what you're supposed to do, but I had this, so I cleaned it up.
And I'm just gonna say what everyone's thinking. Disgusting.
No.
Disgusting.
It's not. Well, actually, my beard was pretty gross at that point. You're right.
No, not that part. Here's the thing, though, is I think it seems disgusting, but it's not. It's just tears. It's just a little bit of salt water.
It's no different than wiping them on your hand.
But I think the reason it's disgusting is because you associate tissues with wiping your tears and tissues with blowing your nose. And so when you touch your beard to your eyes, everyone's thinking you're blowing your nose in your beard.
This is what I have to deal with, an overthinker. So now welcome to my world. So the roadblock. Who wants to play matchmaker? That's all we knew. We didn't know what that even meant. But it was my turn, and I figured I was just as good of a matchmaker as him, so we find out I have to match the tiles. And I go out, I have my picture. In case Phil wasn't clear, everybody's tile that they were looking for was different. Everyone had a unique picture in their clue, and that was the tile they had to find.
There was a single tile in that entire place for each individual player. So
yeah. So in the additional information, which is what you can read after you decide who's doing it, it did say that you have to search between the marked race flag area. And I'm looking around and I see 2 race flags, the yellow and red flags. And so I kept my search between those 2 flags. What I didn't understand was that way on the other side of the complex, there were more race flags. And so what they meant was not between these 2, but between these 2 and these 2 way over there. They didn't specify that.
So at this point, Strasser's looking in the same area, and he's gone through the same tiles a couple times.
Yeah.
And then he starts going through for a 3rd time, and that's when I'm like, he doesn't know that he can go anywhere. I leaned over to Steve, because it was just us and them there at the time. I leaned over to Steve and I said, I don't think Strasser realizes that he can go anywhere in here. It's not just right there. And at that point, Annalie had left. Annalie was in that area when he started.
Yeah.
She had left that area, gone somewhere else, and I just kept in my head saying, Strasser, look up and see Annalie over there, because I'm not allowed to say anything. We get a penalty if I say, hey, go over there too.
Yeah.
You know, and so I just had to keep my mouth shut and hope that he noticed.
I wasn't looking at Annalie. I was locked in. I was focused, and I was looking at about 500 of the possible 3,000 tiles over and over again. And so it wasn't until much later when there was like a couple more teams, probably like 4 total teams, before I looked up and did see somebody looking in another area. And that's when I expanded my search area. That was so stressful. So looking for the tile, it was hot, obviously. We were on the end of a double leg, or whatever people are calling it. I don't care what it's called, but we were at the end of we had left Thailand and flew over to Vietnam and done 2 legs in a row, and we're at the end of the second one. We're exhausted. We're so pooped, and it's so hot, and I'm so sweaty.
A lot of people have asked, you know, did they have water for you at that challenge? And yes, they did. I was chugging all kinds of water.
I didn't have any water. There was water for the people the
people that were resting had plenty of water.
Yeah, I was just dripping sweat.
I did throw a couple in my bag for him, though. I was thinking about
Thanks
him,
a lot.
but in the moment, you know, I couldn't really do anything for him.
So here's what I want to say. It was really hard to do that tile challenge and not get frustrated. I felt frustration, not just frustration, like rage. I felt it coming in at me from the sides of my mind. And I was trying to ignore it and push it away. I wanted to, like, an hour into it, an hour and 15 minutes into it, I don't even know because I wasn't watching, but I think it took me about an hour and a half to find my tile.
Well, you know, our concept of time is just totally skewed in that moment, too, because of the stress, the heat, the panic, everything. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say how long we were there.
But at about an hour in, maybe an hour, 15 minutes in, all I wanted to do was scream, kick, bite, break things, smash stuff. Like, that's all but I kept pushing it away because I knew if I had a tantrum, it would make everything 10 times worse. And I keep hearing other teams celebrating when they find their tile. And Phil's looming the whole time.
That was one of the hardest things about that challenge is Phil was just right there.
That he's there on the mat.
It added more stress to it knowing that he's that close. Mm-hmm. And if somebody else gets it a split second before you, it's just a foot race to the mat. It's not getting a taxi and hope that your taxi beats theirs. It's a foot race to the mat.
Yeah, and gosh, a lot of people have told me how stressed that made them to watch. Well, okay, I'm sorry for your stress. It made me 100 times more stressed than it made you when I watched it, because it brought me back into the moment. And we're at this big watch party. There's maybe 100 or 200. I don't know. There's a lot of people in this big restaurant watching the show with us. And as each team arrived after us and finished before us, you could feel the tension. Yeah, in the restaurant. When I finally found the tile and when the guy finally gave me approval, one thing I didn't expect is that place erupted. Have you ever been in a sports bar where everybody's watching the same game and they're all cheering for the same team? And then a game-winning pick six or something and the whole place just explodes? Yeah. That's what happened, and it was really weird because everybody was cheering for me getting it finally right. So we went from 2nd place to 9th place. You could call it the rise and fall in Vietnam. We rose to the top and we fell back down to the bottom.
But we made it. Yeah. That's what matters.
And at this point, 1st place to 10th place, because Lena and Morgan are in 10th place, is separated by less than an hour. I think we were about 45, 50 minutes behind 1st place here, and then Lena and Morgan were like 5 to 10 minutes after us. And then, sadly, Victor and Jocelyn were after them, which leads us to our tribute to Victor and Jocelyn. Victor and Jocelyn, gosh, what can you say that hasn't already been said? I just love Victor and Jocelyn.
Everyone loves Victor and Jocelyn. Everyone...
With good reason.
Oh, yeah. Everyone that's been talking to me ever since this episode aired at work and everything, all the customers on my route, everyone's like, oh, I was so sad to see them go. Yeah. Their dynamic is so much fun. To be honest, in that moment, we didn't know them that well.
That's the sad thing is we were always either way behind or ahead of Victor and Jocelyn. I had a quick conversation with him on the roof of the Biltmore. We weren't in the same flight. We almost never saw them. When we did see them, we weren't allowed to talk to them because it was between legs. So I've gotten to know them a lot more after the race than during the race. Like, we've been in close contact on Instagram and chatting and stuff. Victor is so funny.
Their personality, their dynamic together, I just love everything about it. And I don't think he was a social media guy before this. Is that correct?
I don't think so.
I think he's pretty new to social media.
I think he invented his account.
That guy has been dominating the reels, I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
He's come up with such good ideas for different funny video clips and everything. And, man, they're great people.
In our group chat, he makes me laugh so much. He comes up with the funniest little quips. they're just good. So my goal one day is to. I've never been to Albuquerque, but I want to just go to Albuquerque and go into their grocery store unannounced and just pop in and say hi. Let's do that.
Let's
someday.
do it. Yeah.
All right.
But don't let them know.
Okay, we won't tell them. They don't watch this.
Nah.
Okay. All right. So
nobody watches this.
we have tens of viewers. What are you talking about? All right, let's get back into our regularly scheduled apparel. So let's have a quick message from Victor and Jocelyn.
Hi, hope you guys are doing well. It's been a while since we have last seen each other, and as you know, we did get eliminated in Vietnam.
We did. It was so hard. And I hope we made a lot of you cry with us, because I know I cried so much and I'm still crying today.
It was overall a really wonderful experience, and I'm so glad that we get to experience it with you guys, because you guys are, again, equally amazing.
Yes, and too bad we didn't get to spend enough time together. Just that little bit of time at the Biltmore wasn't enough. So, we're rooting for you. Hopefully you make it to the very end and beat everybody else. So, thank you.
Love you, Amazing Race.
I gotta blow you a kiss first.
And now we'll end with a question. I've actually got multiple questions about the food in Vietnam. Well, we didn't eat a lot of food in Vietnam because there was no break between the legs or anything. There was no pit stop between the legs. So, but that night in the hotel in Canton, I will never forget the pho that we had. Best pho ever. It was so good, and I still remember thinking while I was eating it, I was like, from now on, every time people talk about pho, I'll be like,
anytime somebody says something,
this is nowhere near as good as the pho in
the best
Vietnam.
pho I ever had was when I was in Vietnam.
Yeah, it was really good, and they had crab rolls and lobster rolls along with it. Oh,
just a little hint in life: always one up your competition.
Yes, yeah, you got to be an upper, a topper, as it were. All right, so we want to ask you a question.
Yes,
we have a question for you, dear viewer.
So we talked a little bit about strategy, right? In that mattress thing, I want to know what everyone's opinion is. Did we use the right strategy in what Strasser did by grabbing the mattress first and leading everyone to the hotel, which then builds good rapport, but also shows them exactly where it is? Or should we have, or what would you have done? Would you have sent them in the other direction, or not said anything to them?
Yeah. You tell us your ideas in the comments, and then I'll tell you why you're wrong.
That's what I had to live with the whole time. I was always wrong. And when I was right, guess what happened?
You're still wrong?
No, I was right, and then you would just ignore what I said, and you would say, oh, I have an idea, and then he would say the exact thing that I just said.
I would take credit. It was beautiful. See you later.